Alright, this is take number 2 because apparently my mic didn't want to pick up any audio in my last recording. I also didn't check, so I guess that's my fault. Hello everybody, welcome back. Don't mind the light of God behind me. I died and I'm in heaven now. Somehow. Don't know how I got here. And also, if you're new here, yeah, my mic changes colors a lot. I can't really do anything about that, and my glasses are down here because my ring light reflects off of them, so yeah, I can't really do anything about that. So welcome back to another episode of the book review. This one is going to be a little more upbeat because I'm going to be reviewing my one of my favorite books actually, by my favorite author, Brandon Sanderson. This one is called Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. It is a quote-unquote secret project of his. It's one of his standalone novels, and it's actually really sweet because he wrote it for his wife. If you didn't notice on the front page, or, well, cover, it says it's a Cosmere novel, which, so in this universe of Sanderson's writing, he has, a place called the Cosmere, which is, like a Cosmere where all of his books take place on a different planet, which I think is really cool. And within this Cosmere, there are beings that are able to jump between worlds and find out what's going on. And for this story, instead of Sanderson himself being the narrator, we got Hoyd, which I would say is one of the storytellers. He is in every single book, by the way, or at least all of the books that I have read so far, he's in. So I think that's a really nice addition to the story. He's also really funny, and honestly, one of my favorite characters, if you want to call him a character, that is. So this story follows Yumi, obviously, and a nightmare painter, which he's referred to painter in most of the story, but his real name is Nakaro, I think it is. I don't know, I'm probably butchering the hell out of that. But these people, so painter lives on in this city, on this planet where it's all dark except for these lines of light called the Huon, I think it's called, the Huon lights, which are like pink and blue, if you couldn't tell from the cover, that light up their whole world. And on the contrast, Yumi is from a planet per se that is full of light and is really hot, which is super fun. Love to live there. Comment which planet you would love to live on. I would like to know. Eternal darkness and cold, or bright ass lights and immense heat. And why is he called a nightmare painter, you may ask? Well, there are these things in his world called, nightmares, and they, do, nightmare stuff, where they torment people, feed off their fears, their bad dreams, yada yada. And what these painters do is they hunt down these nightmares, and they literally paint them into something less intimidating. Like, you got a big scary nightmare, he gonna paint it into a little flower, and then boom, your problem solved. Once you got a little exposition of the story, what happens is that, so we are led to believe that Yumi lives on a star that everybody in Painter's world can see, and he looks up at the star for no apparent reason, and he gets hit by something hard and he passes out. But when he wakes up, he's in her world and he's her. Basically, it's like a switch bodies kind of deal here, and they appear to each other as apparitions in the other world. So while people on Yumi's planet see Painter as Yumi, they can't see her as her ghostly apparition. However, on his planet, Yumi appears as herself, but basically in his place. But they can't see him as his ghostly apparition, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does. It's a little confusing. And they basically have to figure out a way to get back into their original bodies while also dealing with tasks that each other, have to do. Which, I don't think I mentioned, but, Yumi is basically treated as, a goddess on her planet. And they have this really interesting thing of miracles and stacking stones precariously is how you grant these miracles, basically, and Painter he's not very good at that, so Yumi has to teach him how to do what she does, and then all the while Yumi has to basically make up excuses as to why Painter isn't in that world, and yeah, that's basically the premise here. So I don't want to spoil too much because, like I said, if you want to read the story, go ahead. I do highly recommend it. So I'll just give you that light premise for now. On to the pros and the cons of the story here. So quite a few pros actually, because it's from my favorite author, and also because I did enjoy the hell out of this book. The cover art, very pretty. I love the colors. I love the style. It's very nice, very nice. Did I mention that this story is like a fantasy romance book? I don't think I did. I don't know, this is my second recording, and no, I don't write scripts because I'm really bad at following scripts. But, that is my first pro. Second pro, I really like the pacing. Now, it wasn't like a easy knock that shit out in a week pacing, but it was, so in his universe, in Sanderson's, writing endeavors, this is one of his shorter stories. He writes like 1,000-page books, alright, and this is one of his shorter ones, and I think that the way that he was able to fit everything into this story and also still keep, it intriguing throughout the whole thing, it was very well done. I really liked how he wrote it. It was great. It was very great. Another good thing about this book, I think, is the characters. Characters are a really big thing to me. I really they're that one important thing in the story that makes it a story. You need your characters to be unique, you need them to be relatable, have flaws, all that good stuff. And I think that all the characters in here have all those aspects, and they feel like real people. And even though the situation that they have themselves in isn't quite realistic, I think that the characters themselves feel relatable. Might be relatable to some people, but I think that the way they were written and their development was very well done, very thought out. Even the side characters, even though they were side characters, they didn't feel like just things in the story. They actually felt like real people, real quote-unquote friends, even though Painter doesn't really have any friends. They're like his co-workers. I think that the way they were written makes it feel like that. And another thing, I have to give props to him for writing such a good ending. So with story writing, I always find myself struggling to conclude a story, wrap it up, yada yada. I think that's one of the hardest things to do when writing something, because you don't want it to make it feel like it just falls off a cliff. It has to be a slow descent to an ending where everything gets tied up, or doesn't if you want to write a sequel, but it concludes the story well, and it's always hit or miss with that. And honestly, Sanderson never misses. Even the wrap up to that story, it was it wrapped it up good. Honestly, that's all I gotta say. Wrapped it up good. Now, really, the only con I have to say with this story, and honestly with all of his stories, there's always, so you can have a favorite writer, author, whatever you want to call him. You can have a favorite, but there's always that one thing that sets you off from the book. And for his writing, it's the way he does his dialogue. He really abuses the I said thing, which technically in writing you're not supposed to do, but obviously it's okay every once in a while. But the way that he does it, it's really hard to tell what the character is feeling in that instant, but at the same time it makes the story flow better. Quick action scenes, something that happens really fast. He's because he uses that method, he's really good at having things just happen swiftly, and it doesn't disrupt the flow. It's an easy, nice transition to everything in it. So even though that is kind of a con, I don't think it's one that's terrible, So yeah, this is gonna be a shorter episode because honestly, I don't really have a lot to complain about this story. It was mostly just, me glazing it, which, yeah, I'm a little biased because he's my favorite, but at the same time, I do think it is a good book. It's not really a light read. It's an easier read, at least compared to his other works. He has very intricate themes in his books, and his writing is very, there's a lot. I'm telling you, 1,000-page books, start with something small like this and to get you introduced to him, and then maybe read the Stormlight Archive, which is a massive read. I've read, all of them are like thousands of pages. I've read 2 of them twice, mainly because the second book in the Stormlight Archive is my favorite, but also because I'm like, I forget what's going on, I forget who the characters are, but which I don't recommend, but also recommend at the same time. Maybe keep some notes. That's what I did. Maybe keep some notes. But this story right here, along with a few other of his stories, he has a few like shorter ones like this. And yeah, I keep tabs on all of my books because I'm a nerd and I have to put more words in it. But his standalone novels, they are a little shorter, and I think they are a lot easier to get in. So it's easier to get into them through those books instead of like right off the bat his huge, massive, crazy, intricate stories. So especially if you're a romance fan, I strongly suggest this one to start out with. So yeah, if you like this episode of the book review, make sure you like and subscribe right now, and hit that like button so that I can keep making more of these. And also, it makes me want to make more of these, knowing that people want to listen to me yap about stuff. It makes me feel a whole lot better about myself. So that is gonna do it for the book review. That is gonna do it for the book review today. I'll see you again, hopefully some other time.